Topic 1: Foundation Perspectives and Environmental Values. In this lecture series, we will explore how different environmental perspectives and value systems shape the way individuals and societies understand environmental issues and make decisions. We will examine how beliefs, ethics, and worldviews influence attitudes towards conservation, resource use, and sustainability. By understanding these foundations, we can develop critical thinking skills and make informed choices for building a more sustainable future. Let's begin our journey into understanding the relationship between people and the environment. Factors influencing the development of the environmental movement. The growth of environmental movements has been shaped by individuals, literature, media, environmental disasters, international agreements, technological innovations, and scientific discoveries, all working together to promote sustainability. Influential individuals, such as environmental activists and community leaders, inspire public action and advocate for change. For example, Greta Thunberg's climate activism mobilized millions of young people worldwide. Literature, including influential books like Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, raised awareness about the harmful effects of pesticides and transformed public understanding of environmental issues. The media plays a vital role by highlighting environmental concerns through documentaries, news reports, and social media campaigns. Coverage of plastic pollution, for instance, has encouraged consumers to reduce single-use plastics. Major environmental disasters, such as the Bhopal gas tragedy, Deepwater Horizon oil spill, or devastating wildfires, expose environmental risks and often accelerate policy reforms and public demand for action. International agreements, including the Paris Agreement and the Convention on Biological Diversity, promote global cooperation and establish shared environmental goals. New technologies, such as renewable energy systems and pollution monitoring tools, provide practical solutions for reducing environmental impacts. Finally, scientific discoveries deepen our understanding of climate change, biodiversity loss, and ecosystem functioning, strengthening the evidence base for environmental action. Together, these interconnected factors raise awareness, shape values, influence policies, and encourage collective action towards a more sustainable future. Example of influence: an individual environmental activist. Individuals can play a powerful role in shaping environmental movements by raising awareness, influencing attitudes, and inspiring collective action. Greta Thunberg demonstrates how one person's commitment can create global impact. Born in Sweden in 2003, Greta began the school strike for climate movement to emphasize the urgency of climate action. Her influence illustrates 5 important stages of environmental leadership. First, individuals speak out through speeches, protests, and social media to highlight environmental concerns. Second, they inspire others, motivating communities, and especially young people to participate in sustainability initiatives. Third, they can influence decisions by encouraging governments and businesses to strengthen environmental commitments. Fourth, they help drive global movements, such as Fridays for Future, which mobilized millions of participants worldwide. Finally, these efforts contribute to creating change through increased awareness, policy discussions, and behavioral shifts. Greta's achievements include addressing the United Nations Climate Action Summit, receiving international recognition, and bringing climate education into public discourse. Her example demonstrates that environmental movements often begin with individual action. One informed and persistent person can inspire others, generate collective pressure for change, and contribute significantly to building a more sustainable future. The key message is that every individual has the potential to make a meaningful difference in protecting our planet. Example of influence: an author. Authors can significantly influence the environmental movement by transforming scientific knowledge into powerful messages that raise awareness, shape public opinion, and inspire action. Rachel Carson is one of the most influential examples of this process. As a marine biologist and conservationist, Carson carefully researched and observed environmental problems, particularly the effects of pesticides on ecosystems. Through her book Silent Spring, published in 1962, she effectively communicated complex scientific evidence in a way that was understandable to the public. Her writing helped inform and raise awareness about the harmful impacts of chemicals such as DDT on wildlife and human health. This increased awareness inspired action, encouraging citizens, scientists, and policymakers to demand stronger environmental protection measures. Carson's work ultimately created a lasting impact, contributing to restrictions on harmful pesticides, influencing environmental legislation, and supporting the growth of modern environmental movements. The influence of environmental literature extends beyond Carson. Authors such as Aldo Leopold, through a Sand County Almanac, promoted land ethics and conservation, while Elizabeth Colbert, in The Sixth Extinction, highlighted the ongoing biodiversity crisis. These examples demonstrate that well-researched and compelling writing can educate society, shape policies, encourage responsible environmental behavior, and protect natural systems for future generations. Example of influence: The Media, the Science of Our Planet, 2021. Media plays a powerful role in shaping environmental awareness by combining scientific evidence, compelling visuals, and storytelling to influence attitudes and inspire action. The documentary The Science of Our Planet, released on Netflix in 2021, explores how climate change affects Earth's systems and explains complex environmental concepts using real-world examples and scientific research. The documentary highlights critical environmental challenges, including climate change, biodiversity loss, deforestation, pollution, ocean degradation, and unsustainable resource use. By connecting these issues to a broader global environmental crisis, viewers gain a deeper understanding of the interconnected nature of environmental problems. Media influences society through several stages. First, documentaries increase public awareness by presenting scientific facts in an engaging manner. This encourages discussion and sharing in schools, families, workplaces, and social media platforms. Increased awareness often leads to behavioral changes, such as reducing waste, conserving energy, or adopting sustainable consumption practices. Public support then promotes environmental action, including participation in conservation initiatives and advocacy campaigns. Ultimately, informed citizens create pressure for policy change, encouraging governments and businesses to adopt more sustainable practices. For example, documentaries like Seaspiracy and Our Planet have motivated viewers to reconsider seafood consumption and support biodiversity conservation. The key message is that environmental media transforms scientific knowledge into meaningful action, helping societies make informed decisions for a healthier and more sustainable future. Example of influence: an environmental disaster. Environmental disasters often act as powerful catalysts for change by exposing environmental risks, altering public attitudes, and encouraging stronger policies and practices. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill of 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico is a significant example of how disasters can influence society. The explosion on the offshore drilling platform resulted in the release of millions of barrels of oil into the ocean, causing severe environmental impacts, including the destruction of marine habitats, harm to birds and aquatic species, and long-term ecosystem damage. The disaster also created major economic consequences, affecting fisheries, tourism industries, and generating billions of dollars in cleanup costs. Coastal communities experienced human impacts, including health concerns and loss of livelihoods. Extensive media coverage generated global attention, raising public awareness about the risks associated with offshore oil drilling. This awareness led to public demand for accountability, prompting governments to introduce stricter regulations and improve environmental oversight. In response, the United States strengthened safety standards, enhanced reporting requirements, and established agencies such as the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement to improve offshore drilling regulation. The disaster also influenced broader societal changes by increasing support for renewable energy, strengthening environmental education, encouraging corporate responsibility, and stimulating innovation in environmental monitoring and safety technologies. This example demonstrates that while environmental disasters have devastating consequences, they can also inspire policy reform, behavioral change, and collective action toward a more sustainable and resilient future. Example of influence: a recent environmental disaster, Maui wildfires, 2023. Environmental disasters can rapidly reshape public perspectives, influence policy discussions, and drive long-term environmental action. The devastating Maui wildfires in Hawaii during August 2023 illustrate how climate-related disasters affect both society and environmental decision-making. The wildfires caused widespread destruction in Lahaina, resulting in significant loss of life, displacement of communities, and damage to homes, infrastructure, and natural ecosystems. The disaster highlighted several environmental and social impacts, including air pollution affecting human health, habitat destruction, biodiversity loss, soil degradation, economic losses from disrupted tourism, and psychological trauma among affected populations. Several interconnected factors contributed to the disaster, including rising temperatures linked to climate change, prolonged drought conditions, invasive grasses that acted as fuel, strong winds associated with Hurricane Dora, and urban expansion into fire-prone areas. Together, these factors increased wildfire vulnerability. Extensive media coverage brought global attention to the event, increasing public awareness about climate risks and community resilience. The disaster stimulated policy discussions on land use planning, wildfire prevention, early warning systems, and climate adaptation strategies. Governments and communities have since focused on stronger building codes, improved emergency preparedness, ecosystem restoration, and renewable energy transitions. The Maui wildfires demonstrate that although environmental disasters are tragic, they can serve as powerful catalysts for learning, encouraging societies to strengthen resilience, support climate action, and build more sustainable communities for the future. Example of influence: international agreements. International agreements demonstrate how countries collaborate to address global environmental challenges, shape national policies, and promote a more sustainable future. Two important examples are the Paris Agreement of 2015 and the Montreal Protocol of 1987. The Paris Agreement aims to limit global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius, while pursuing efforts to keep it below 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Countries establish their own climate targets through nationally determined contributions, encouraging reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, investment in renewable energy, and improved climate adaptation. These commitments have influenced stronger climate policies, technological innovation, and increased public awareness of climate action. The Montreal Protocol focuses on protecting the ozone layer by phasing out ozone-depleting substances such as chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs. Through international cooperation and science-based decision-making, it has become one of the most successful environmental agreements, contributing to the gradual recovery of the ozone layer and reducing harmful ultraviolet radiation exposure, which benefits human health and ecosystems. These agreements illustrate how international cooperation creates change. Global commitments lead to national policies, which increase public awareness, encourage environmental action, and ultimately contribute to global sustainability. Environmental problems do not respect political boundaries, making collective action essential. The key lesson is that international agreements combine scientific knowledge, political commitment, and shared responsibility to generate long-term environmental and social benefits for present and future generations. International Agreements, COPs. Conference of the Parties, or COPs, are annual meetings held under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, where countries work together to address climate change through negotiation and collective action. First, COPs bring together nearly 200 countries to review progress, negotiate decisions, set new climate goals, and share solutions. They also engage governments, businesses, scientists, youth groups, indigenous communities, and civil society to ensure diverse perspectives are included. Major COP outcomes include COP21 in Paris, which established the Paris Agreement aiming to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius while pursuing efforts to stay within 1.5 degrees. COP27 introduced the Loss and Damage Fund to support vulnerable nations, while COP28 in Dubai emphasized transitioning away from fossil fuels and accelerating renewable energy adoption. COPs influence climate action by encouraging countries to develop policies, mobilize climate finance, promote technological innovation, and implement sustainability measures. However, challenges remain, including differing national priorities, financial constraints, and implementation gaps. The key message is that COPs transform global discussions into coordinated action, fostering international cooperation to build a more sustainable and climate-resilient future for all. Example of influence: International Agreement, Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol was a landmark international agreement designed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and combat climate change through legally binding commitments. Adopted in Kyoto, Japan, in 1997 under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and entering into force in 2005, it required developed nations to set emission reduction targets. Its main aim was to lower greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane, promote cleaner energy technologies, encourage international cooperation, and protect the environment for future generations. Key features included emission reduction targets, carbon trading mechanisms, the Clean Development Mechanism allowing developed countries to support sustainable projects in developing nations, and regular monitoring and reporting of emissions. For example, investments in renewable energy projects in countries like India and Brazil were supported through these mechanisms. The protocol increased global awareness of climate change, stimulated innovation in clean technologies, and laid the foundation for later agreements such as the Paris Agreement. However, challenges included limited participation by some major emitters and concerns that targets were insufficient to achieve long-term climate goals. The key message is that the Kyoto Protocol demonstrated how international cooperation can drive climate action and influence environmental policies worldwide. Example of influence: technological developments, Green Revolution. The Green Revolution refers to a period of major agricultural innovation from the 1940s to the 1980s that significantly increased food production, particularly in developing countries. Its primary aim was to reduce hunger and improve food security by increasing crop yields. This was achieved through key innovations such as high-yielding seed varieties, expanded irrigation systems, increased use of fertilizers and pesticides, mechanization with modern farm equipment, and advances in plant breeding and agronomic research. For example, countries like India and Mexico adopted high-yielding wheat and rice varieties, leading to dramatic increases in grain production. The Green Revolution had several positive impacts, including improved food availability, lower food prices, economic growth in rural areas, and the ability to feed rapidly growing populations. However, it also created environmental and social challenges such as soil degradation, groundwater depletion due to excessive irrigation, pesticide pollution affecting biodiversity, and unequal benefits, with many small-scale farmers struggling to access these technologies. Major crops influenced included rice, wheat, and maize, which experienced substantial yield improvements worldwide. The key lesson is that technological developments can solve important human challenges, but they must be managed sustainably to minimize environmental impacts and ensure equitable benefits for society. Example of influence: technological developments. Enteric fermentation. Enteric fermentation is a natural digestive process in ruminant animals such as cattle, sheep, and goats. While it helps animals break down fibrous plant material, it also produces methane, a powerful greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change. Ruminants have a specialized four-chambered stomach. Microorganisms in the rumen ferment plant fibers, producing hydrogen and carbon dioxide, which are then converted by methanogenic microbes into methane. This methane is released mainly through belching. Methane is particularly significant because it has a global warming potential approximately 28 to 34 times greater than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. To address this challenge, scientists and agricultural industries are developing innovative solutions. These include improved feeds and additives such as seaweed supplements, which have been shown to reduce methane production in cattle, probiotics that modify rumen microbial communities, vaccines targeting methane-producing microbes, selective breeding of low-methane livestock, and manure management systems that capture biogas for energy production. Reducing enteric methane is important because livestock support the livelihoods and food security of billions of people worldwide. However, challenges remain, including technology costs, accessibility for small farmers, and the need for further research and policy support. The key message is that technological innovation can help balance agricultural productivity with climate change mitigation, creating more sustainable livestock systems for the future. Example of influence: technological developments. Plant-based meats. Plant-based meats are innovative food products made from plant ingredients, but designed to resemble the taste, texture, and appearance of conventional animal meat. They represent an important technological advancement aimed at creating more sustainable food systems. These products are typically made using ingredients such as pea protein, soy protein, wheat gluten, chickpea protein, vegetable oils, and natural flavorings. Through advanced food processing technologies, including extrusion techniques that create meat-like textures, these ingredients are transformed into products such as burgers, sausages, and minced meat alternatives. Emerging technologies, including 3D food printing, may further improve texture and consumer experience in the future. Compared with traditional beef production, plant-based meats generally have a much lower environmental footprint, producing fewer greenhouse gas emissions while using less water, land, and feed resources. For example, replacing a portion of beef consumption with plant-based alternatives could significantly reduce the environmental impact of global food production. Additional benefits include potential health advantages, reduced demand for intensive livestock farming, improved food security, and new opportunities in the food technology sector. However, challenges remain, including higher costs, varying consumer acceptance, concerns about processing levels, and the energy required for manufacturing. The key message is that plant-based meat technologies demonstrate how innovation can contribute to more sustainable diets by helping meet human nutritional needs while reducing pressure on environmental resources. Example of influence: scientific discovery. Pesticide and biocide toxicity. Scientific discoveries about the harmful effects of pesticides and biocides have significantly influenced how these chemicals are used, regulated, and replaced to protect both human health and the environment. Through laboratory experiments, field observations, and epidemiological studies, scientists discovered that some pesticides can harm non-target organisms and ecosystems. For example, research on DDT revealed that it caused eggshell thinning in birds such as bald eagles, contributing to population declines. Studies on organophosphate pesticides also demonstrated potential neurological effects in humans and wildlife. Toxicity is identified by examining how organisms respond after exposure, measuring indicators such as lethal doses, no observed adverse effect levels, and the persistence and bioaccumulation of chemicals in the environment. These scientific findings have led to stricter regulations, including banning or restricting hazardous substances and requiring extensive safety testing before approval. The knowledge gained has encouraged the development of safer alternatives, integrated pest management strategies, and biological control methods that reduce reliance on harmful chemicals. Public awareness and evidence-based policies now promote more responsible pesticide use. The key message is that scientific discovery plays a critical role in guiding environmental regulations, protecting ecosystems and human health, and supporting more sustainable agricultural practices for future generations. Example of influence: scientific discovery, habitat destruction. Scientific research has revealed that habitat destruction significantly affects biodiversity, ecosystem functioning, and human well-being, influencing how societies manage land use and protect natural environments. Through remote sensing, field studies, ecological experiments, and data modeling, scientists discovered that activities such as deforestation, urbanization, agricultural expansion, and mining fragment habitats and reduce species populations. For example, the destruction of tropical rainforests has threatened species such as orangutans, while wetland loss has reduced natural flood control and water purification services. Research has shown that when habitats are degraded, ecosystems lose important functions including pollination, carbon storage, and climate regulation. These impacts extend to people through reduced ecosystem services, increased vulnerability to floods, and declining natural resources. Scientific evidence from long-term biodiversity monitoring and population studies has led to stronger conservation policies, protected areas, reforestation programs, and environmental impact assessments. It has also encouraged sustainable land use practices, such as agroforestry and habitat restoration initiatives. The key takeaway is that scientific discoveries about habitat destruction have transformed our understanding of humanity's dependence on healthy ecosystems, driving actions to conserve biodiversity and promote a more sustainable future for both people and the planet. Example of influence: scientific discovery, biodiversity loss. Scientific research has revealed that biodiversity is declining at an unprecedented rate due to human activities. This knowledge has transformed how societies value nature and has driven conservation efforts worldwide. Scientists collect evidence through field surveys, satellite monitoring, DNA analysis, and long-term ecological studies. These discoveries show that species extinction rates are now estimated to be 100 to 1,000 times higher than natural background rates, while indicators such as the Living Planet Index demonstrate significant declines in wildlife populations since 1970. Research has identified major causes of biodiversity loss, including habitat destruction from deforestation and urbanization, pollution, overexploitation through overfishing and illegal wildlife trade, climate change, and the introduction of invasive species. For example, coral bleaching caused by rising ocean temperatures threatens marine biodiversity, while deforestation in tropical rainforests endangers countless plant and animal species. The consequences extend beyond species loss. Declining biodiversity weakens ecosystem services such as pollination, water purification, and soil fertility, threatening food security and increasing economic costs. Scientific findings have informed international agreements like the Convention on Biological Diversity and encourage conservation policies, habitat restoration, sustainable resource use, and public awareness initiatives. The key takeaway is that scientific discoveries about biodiversity loss highlight humanity's dependence on healthy ecosystems and emphasize the urgent need for collective action to protect biodiversity for present and future generations.